Well, welcome to Basic Banjo Lesson 7. In this video, I was going to start doing the backup parts. And backup with banjo is a little bit interesting because I don't think you will ever really master playing backup with the banjo. Because you'll always find something new and unique to do. And this I'll try to cover a little bit more in my next lesson. This first lesson I want to cover what's called vamping. Vamping is what you do when a mandolin is taking a break. Usually in a bluegrass band, the mandolin does what's called chopping, which is a nice percussive sound, sort of like this. All throughout. That gives it kind of a beat to your music that if it's not there, you really kind of notice it. And so when a mandolin takes a break, and usually you only have one mandolin in your band, everyone notices because the mandolin can't be doing a chop chord when they're playing the break. So then it's up to the banjo player to fill in that void and give you that chop sound, which is on the banjo is called vamping. Vamping is where you take your chord shape, which the most one I like to use is the F chord shape. So instead of up here on your neck, you slide it down so you have your index finger on the 3rd fret, second string, then your middle finger on the 4th fret, 3rd string, which is G, and yeah, what finger do we call that then? Oh, this finger. On the 5th fret, 4th string, and then you bring your pinky onto the 5th fret, 1st string. So, this is another chord shape for G. So it sounds something like this. You can tell it's similar to G, where you play. And then just like I was showing those chords, where it's like you're playing C chord bar across the 5th fret, and you slide up 5 frets, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's your next chord, and then up to 7, and here's your next chord. It's the same thing with vamping. So this is your G, you go up 5 frets, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's your C chord position when you're vamping. And you go up 2 more frets, and that's D. C. Basically, it's just a higher octave. And so, what you do when you are vamping, instead of just picking, which is where you leave your fingers all the way in contact with the strings, instead, you take your left hand and you kind of chop. This is where you bring your thumb down on one of the 4 strings. You can bring it on. You can bring it on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd. And then you bring your index and middle finger, and then you just plug them both at the same time. So if you don't mess with your fingers, it's just like this. But with vamping, you not only do that, you also go, when you're hit with your thumb, you have your fingers down, then you lift up just a little bit so your fingers are just lightly touching the string with your left hand here. So it mutes it. So your middle and your index finger just mute the string. So you go push it down. Depending how you lift up your fingers, you can get sound a little different. You can make it a little bit more ringed, or a lot more thuddier. So you can kind of adjust with your left hand how much of a little chop. Like usually the rule is that the faster your song and how it goes, the more thuddier sound you give it. So it's more, kind of gives it a really good beat to it. Whereas if it's more slow song, you don't want to be like, oh, I come to the garden, so it's like, I come to the garden alone, and you're like, it just doesn't sound right. Whereas it gives it more ring. Whereas if you're saying boil them cabbage down, it doesn't quite sound right playing really fast like. Where it sounds better. So you have a more thuddier sound. And that's usually the general rule. You can mess it around with it a little bit. Like everything, it's your own style and how you like it and what sounds good. But that's for the key of G. You have your G, C, then your D. Which then, just like everything else, you can, whereas this is open G here, you go up 5 frets and you're on C. Same thing as here. So say you're here on C, well, if you're playing in the key of C, this is now your first chord. You just go up 5 frets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is now your two bottom fingers are on the 12th fret, and then this finger is on the 11th, and this finger is on the 10th. Same F-shaped chord, but now you're playing an F. Back to G, C. Now with C you have two options now when you're playing G. Either you can go back to your G shape up here and play a lower G than your C, or you can go and slide it all the way up here. So now your two fingers are on the 14th fret, this finger is on the 13th, and your index finger is on the 12th. So it's a higher G. Or what it is to there is, say, the mandolin has come out of the break. So, obviously when the mandolin is out of the break, you don't want to be playing up the neck too much. So then you bring it back down so you're playing your open strings. say they're taking their break, and you're going very good here, and you know that they're going to come close to end, so you get your G here. Then you just go back to your C that's with your kind of your open strings here. You just bring your normal F chord. You can do whatever else you want to do back up, or if it's your turn to do the break, you do the break then. That's one way you can transition from vamping to playing just other backup. And it just sort of goes like that too, because then so your C's here and your D's here, well, it's the same thing. Although D has two options for both of his other chords. You can play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way up here for your G, and slide 2 more for your A, or you can play your G here, place your G here, slide 2 frets, and you're in your A. Something like that. But so you can, with D, you can have a lot of different options. You can go either down here for your G or your A, or you can be up here, or you can switch them around. So you can play one up here, one chord up here, and then one other chord down here, and so on and so forth. The other vamping chord, or chord shape I should say, these are the F chord shapes. You're not actually playing F, but it's the same shape wherever you're placing it. The other chord shape is D. D, I'm not an incredible big fan of it because it's different from whenever you have your fingers twisted instead of like that, they're like that. So this one's ahead of this one. But, so this is your D here, with playing in G and you want your D, it's up here. So, so it's a D shape. So instead of F where you have your fingers sort of like that, they're that way, they're flipped around. So where you're at your G chord, you have your index finger on the 7th fret, 3rd string, your middle finger on the 8th fret, 2nd string, and your two other fingers down here on the 9th fret. But this finger on your 4th string and your pinky on the 1st string. So it sounds something like this. And then just like your other chord shapes, you go up 5 frets to find your F, where your next chord is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your C. And 2 more. There's your D. And sometimes, you know, you can do that. But you're already way up the neck, and sometimes you don't want to go all the way. So this is where you can flip around a bit. So you play your G here, you switch your F shape and slide up 1 fret. So now you're on your C. Go back to your G with D chord shape. So you can switch between your D shape and your F shape. So you can play different ways and not have to go all the way up next. So you can play in just from here to here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frets, and you can have your vamping down. So you can play your D shape here for your G, and then just your normal F shapes for your C and your D. Hopefully that explains a bit. Vamping is something that once you learn, it's something that, I don't know what the best way to describe this, but you get better with practice, I guess would be the best way to put it. Especially the tone that you get from it, because it has to do with both hands of how they work. Whether your left hand is lifting off completely off this, really just barely touching the strings or really muting it so it's, or it gives you a little bit more of your thuddier or more, a little bit clearer sounding, and how far you place that, and then also then your right hand determines how hard you hit your string. So it really depends on where you want it. But like with the rest of the banjo, you have your C, your Ds, you know, your main chord is where you're at, and you go 5 frets down and you find another chord, and 7 frets down and you find your other chord, your main chords, and you're in your chord progressions. And so the same is true with your chord shapes that you're doing when you're playing vamping. If you're in G, where you're at, you just go 5 frets down to your next one, which happens to be C, and then 7 frets down, and that's your D shape. Whereas if you're in A, which is like this one, say, with your open strings, you go 2 frets down for your A, 1, 2. The same is true for your vamping. This is your G, you go 2 frets down, and that's your A. And then this is the same thing, you go 5 frets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your D, which is just the same as when you're playing your G shape. And then 2 more frets down, which is from the 7th fret down. And that's your E. And then it just goes like that. It's the same kind of way, per se, of this style, where it's open and you just bar across, except now your bar looks like this, and instead of having just open, this is now your G chord. And see that other G is the same as having your 12th fret being the bar. So I hope that helps explain a little bit of vamping. Usually vamping is, like I said, is usually just used for playing backup when a mandolin is taking a break. Because once you have already one person kind of giving you chopping / vamping, you don't really need another one. It's like having... The mandolin is sort of like the drums of a bluegrass band. It gives you that beat. And so in a rock band, which I don't play rock, but it's a little bit of the same sort of the style, is that you don't have 2 drummers going at it. it's the same thing with vamping. You don't have the banjo and a mandolin trying to vamp at the same time. So it's usually only when the mandolin is taking a break. So I hope that it helps to explain it a little bit. This has been Vamping on Banjo, Basic Banjo Lesson 7. And hopefully my next video will focus a little bit more on the other forms of backup when the mandolin isn't taking a break and the rest of the band is playing, or someone else is singing vocal, or maybe the guitar is taking a break. What do you do then? I'll touch a little bit of that on my next video of Lesson 8. Thanks for watching. I'm Timothy Dirksen. Hope to see you next time.